give a word or to speak, it is always with great humility that you come before the people to say what God has told you to say. On Wednesday night at Bible study, and it's just been replaying in my spirit like like one of them tapes you had, and you just hit rewind and then hit it again and hit rewind and then hit it again. But our Apostle Carlos was talking about prophesying to yourself, setting an atmosphere for yourself, speaking over your own life, into your own life. So I just want to echo those sentiments this morning and just repeat what he said for the ones that wasn't there, because this morning I'm just talking about provider. I just want to share with you about provider, because God is our provider. And sometimes when things are happening, we'll forget that, because we be so consumed with what's going on that we forget that all I have to do is give it to the provider. So Pastor Carlos, he came from Luke, and he was talking about when the angel came to Mary and told her that she was going to have the baby Jesus. And the angel told her, he said, "You are highly favored." So Pastor Carlos said, you need to say to yourself, I am highly favored. Second thing, he said, you're highly favored and God is with you. So now say, God is with me. Then the third thing, because, when Mary heard this, she was kind of like, what? What you mean? And she got, fearful. And the angel could sense that. And then he said to her, he said, do not be afraid. So say to yourself, I will not be afraid. And he said, because you have found favor with God. So say, I have found favor with God. And the last thing the angel told her, he said, because you will conceive and give birth. Say, I will conceive and give birth. And I've been speaking this thing since Wednesday, and it's like the more I speak it to myself, the more I begin to believe it. Because, far be it to what people think, the first time we say something to ourselves, we don't believe it. We just like, yeah, I said it. I said it. But as you begin to say it more and more and more, and that thing begin to resonate in your spirit, and the more you say it, or even sometimes just when you think about it, you say, I'm highly favored. I'm highly favored. I have found favor with the Lord. I will conceive and give birth. Because there are so many things that God is trying to get us to understand about the power that he has given us to be able to handle all these situations. So again, I'm reminding you about provider. Say provider. So you may not have wrote down those 5 things, but go back to Luke 25. I believe it was 25. And he was talking about when the angel came to Mary. And just look at that and just begin to let that minister to you, because then you'll begin to believe it. And once you believe it, then you can conceive it, and then you can see it, and then you know that it belongs to you. Amen. Again, he is our provider. Background scriptures this morning. Just another example of provider. Elder Chris, would you pull up Exodus the 16th, the 15th through the 20th in the NIV? When the Israelites, this was the people of Israel was out there in the wilderness, they said to each other, what is it for they did not know what it was. Moses said to them, "It is the bread the Lord has given you to eat. This is what the Lord has commanded. Everyone is to gather as much as they need," not want, need. "Take an omer," this is about 3 pounds, "for each person you have in your tent." The Israelites did as they were told. Some gathered much, some little. And when they measured it by the omer, the one who gathered much did not have too much, and the one who gathered little did not have too little. Everyone had gathered just as much as needed. This was when the children of Israel was out in the wilderness and they was hungry, and God sent down the manna. Again, provider. I'm just encouraging you about provider. They did not have to worry because they had favor with God. Okay? So remember the 5 things I told you earlier. The more you say those things about you're highly favored and you found favor with God and God is with you, you won't be afraid. You will conceive and give birth. Here, come back to that favor. Next background scripture, Brother Chris, Deuteronomy 29:5. Yet the Lord says, "During the 40 years that I led you through the wilderness, your clothes did not wear out, nor did the sandals on your feet." And the reason why this kind of stuck out with me, can you imagine being here on earth 40 years, walking around with the same outfit every day? Every day for 40 years. Same shoes, same clothes. After a little while, they're going to get dingy. They're going to get torn. They're going to fall off you. The shoes, they ain't going to snap no more. And if they're sandals, they just going to probably fall apart, right? But look at what God said to them. He said, "For 40 years that I led you, your clothes did not wear out, nor did the sandals on your feet." Again, provider. He says, "I am so awesome enough of a God that I can allow you to walk around in the same clothes." Y'all got to picture this now. The same clothes, same shoes, 40 years. And they did not wear out. They didn't fall off. The thread didn't start unraveling. You looked like you had just went in. So when you tell people, "I don't look like what I've been through," provider. He says, "I can make you look like nothing ever happened. I can make you look like you didn't go through nothing. I can make you look like it didn't bother you. I can make you look like it didn't affect you. I can make you look like it didn't touch you to your heart and you cried all day and night. I can make you look like it didn't make you feel like you was going to lose your mind. I can make you look like you did when you first went in, before they talked about you, before they broke your heart, before they lied to you, with that smile on your face." He said, after 40 years, man, that thing, I said, whoa, 40 years. Provider. He will not leave you nor forsake you. But we got to remember, and we got to say it to ourselves. He is my provider. 40 years, he kept me. Yesterday, he kept me. Last week, he kept me. Even though I'm pulling these old scriptures, we need to put them into what's going on today. Went through those 2 years of whatever with whoever. I didn't get wore out. went through the situation with whoever, whatever, but I don't look like. Come on, y'all. You got to get it in your spirit because he wants us to know that he is our provider. And he will never not take care of us, ever. He said he knew us when we was in our mother's womb. He knew every day we weren't going to say, God is the bomb and I love him. He knew it. But he still said, I'm your provider. I am your way maker. And he says, as you renew your mind daily with the mind of Christ, then you'll put him in remembrance that he is your provider. I am highly favored of the Lord. God is with me. I will not be afraid because I have found favor with God. I will conceive and give birth. Whatever that is that God has to come out of me, it shall. Because I will not allow the enemy to steal nothing else. And that comes from us just not believing what God has said. This comes straight from his word. Believe it. But the more you say it, the more it's going to mean something. The more it's going to matter. And when those things happen, you can say, I'm highly favored of the Lord. I have found favor with the Lord. And that thing shall turn around. So my scenario today is talking about a raft. R-A-F-T. Everybody know what a raft is, right? So some of the definitions is that it's a boat or floating platform. It also can be a large amount of something. But God gave me a new definition for it. Okay? Relying affectionately on faith and truth. R-A-F-T. Relying affectionately on faith and truth. So on the raft of life, you're going to have challenges. But you must keep control and celebrate being a conqueror. On the raft, R-A-F-T, relying affectionately on faith and truth, you're going to have challenges. But you must keep control and celebrate being a conqueror. So this is what God gave me. He said, imagine that you're on a raft. And this time I'm talking about the one that's on the floating platform. And you're on a river. Can you see the river? And there's rocks in that river. There's animals in that river. And you're floating. And a lot of times when you first get on the raft, in that spot, the water is what? Usually calm. When you first get on the raft. And if any of you all saw Oliver Twist, this should give you a good picture of how he was on that raft with that stick. And he was going. So this is how we go through life. So you got alligators, you got snakes, you got just anything. I don't like none of it. You know, so everything is in the water. And then you got the bears along the sides. And you got all this stuff. But the water, as you get going, it becomes turbulent. And while you on that raft, all you got is a stick. And you're trying to balance yourself in the middle. Because if I get too far to the right, what's going to happen? I'm going to tip this sucker. If I go to the left, I'm going to tip it. So I got to balance. 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 Being in the middle. Having my stick, my rod, and my staff standing there balancing. So there's these rocks in the water, and now the water is starting to get a little bit rough. And I got to balance. And I got to keep my posture. I got to keep my on what is the end goal. So my first challenge is just staying on it. Don't let the enemy throw you off. Whatever the courses God is giving you, don't let him throw you off. Stay on the raft. So you're going, you're moving. You're like, okay, the water's getting more. Ooh, that's a rock. Ooh, I hit the rock, so it bumped me. I'm moving, but I still got to hold my posture. Because if I stop being in a posture, I'm going to cause something to happen. Once I stand straight up and just act like it's all right, something's going to happen to the raft. So I got to stay in posture. Now, here comes the alligator. And the alligator can be for you, it can be divorce. It can be losing a job. It can be the death of a loved one. It could be they talked about me, they hurt me, they did me bad. Sickness, whatever your alligator is, keep him off the raft. Because when he gets on the raft, he's going to cause you to do something. So imagine you're going down the river, and here's this alligator, and he has jumped on the raft. Most of us going to do what? Jump off. So when we jump off the raft, we're no longer relying affectionately on faith and truth. We are now abandoned ship. We've said, God, I don't trust you. God, I don't believe you. I know this is not going to work for my favor. I know this is not going to turn out the way I want it to turn out. So you know what? I'm just jumping off this thing. So the first challenge, again, is to stay on the raft. Stay on the raft. Second thing, again, is don't let anything out of the water get on the raft. He said you can be in this world, but not of this world. So don't let anything get on the raft. And in the midst of that, again, you got your rod and your staff, hit the alligator, get him off. That's going to take courage. And again, that courage is the part is where you trust. So you hitting the alligator, get off, get off. You're hitting the fish that's jumping up, get off. You're hitting the bears that's trying to come out and get you, get back. And you're still keeping the course. I bumped another rock. Oh. Ooh, hit another rock. Got to maintain your posture. Because the weapon will form, but don't let it prosper. Keep in control. As I said from the beginning, on the raft of life, you will have challenges, but you must keep control, no matter how hard it gets. Your end result is getting from one place to the other. All that stuff is not going away because you want it to. Keep control. You may even need to wear a life jacket because I might fall in there. But I'm going to get back up. Keep control. Don't let anything throw you off the raft. As you're going, you've hit the alligator. He done went on about his business. You let the bear know if he come out there, you're going to hit him with your rod. And all the other things, you hit the rock and you're able to regain your balance and you're still going. And all of a sudden you hear, shh. Here comes a waterfall. And for some of us, the waterfall is the one that took us out. It's the one that took us down to where we went back. We forgot about God. We forgot about how good he was. We forgot about what he did before. And you're like, oh my God, here comes this waterfall. Am I going to make it? There's nowhere to go because it's going over. And you're already there. Just remember, you're on the raft. You're relying affectionately on faith and truth. That word affectionately means passionately, with passion and adoration, with bias, where that you ain't giving in to no other thoughts. Shh. Shh. Get in position. Because you're going over. And when the raft goes over, if you would just lift your hands. Can y'all imagine it now that you're going over the waterfall and the raft's going to go first and you going, you flying, you whatever, and the raft is going to come down first because it's the heaviest. And then you say, you might be doing a little bit more rocking to gather your balance. You might be trying to get your posture back right. Because that waterfall, it's a big thing. It's not a little thing. It's a big thing. That's the one that tried to take you out. That's the one that shook the very core of what you believe and what you thought and how you held on. But because you gave it to the master, because you're on the raft, he allowed you to just fall back in place. You had a little more trying to get back right and trying to get it back straight, but you was back on course. Just reminding you, once you get back on course, and after a while, you getting and you're going and you see a group of people to the side and they're like, hey, hey, come on in. Hey. And you get that thing and you get to the shore. And they say, where you came from? And you say, if only you knew. And then they said, well, you sure don't look like it. Well, come on, let's get something to eat. Celebrate being a conqueror. Because when you get to the shore and the people see you and you say, well, I did, and they did, and all this, and I fell, and I went under, and I can't, they going to say, child, you don't even look like all that happened. Well, look, we got some food. Let's go eat. Let's go celebrate that you made it through. Let's go celebrate that it didn't kill you. Let's go celebrate that it didn't take you out. Let's go celebrate that you didn't lose nothing. Your arm ain't broke. His word says we are joint heirs with Jesus. So therefore we are more than conquerors. More. That word more means exponentially more than before or added to. So if I'm more than a conqueror, how much more is that than just a conqueror? He is our provider. You may be hurt. You may be hanging off to one side. You may even lose something off the raft. But it shall not come nigh your dwelling. So if I have not did anything else today, but just I'm here today just to encourage you that he is your provider. No matter how rough the waters get, no matter how many things jump up out the water to get you, stay on the raft. Because when you get off the raft is when the trouble really starts. Because that raft is a protection between you and the things that you're dealing with. And I just used the scenario of the water. But allow that raft to be whatever you need it to be in your life. Relying affectionately on faith and truth. And you shall be a conqueror. Thank you.